Hi everyone, comic reviewer here. This time reviewing on Ivor the Invisible. Now, as you know, Ivor the Invisible is an animated film that was shown during Christmas back in 2001 on Christmas Eve, and the film itself was written by Raymond Briggs, and instead of it being one of his kind of bookish stories, it was kind of adapted, made into a sort of little film for Christmas Eve. And yeah, eventually we would get a sort of book version, which was kind of using screenshots from the film. And I think for the most part, while Raymond Briggs' film is not bad, it isn't going to be like The Snowman. It's not going to be like Father Christmas and that, but instead a simple kind of, a simple kind of story of the day thing. So the premise of the film is meant to follow a young boy, John, who wakes up to find the invisible giant Ivor sitting on his bed, and we see how John and Ivor become fast friends. And I think for the most part, the way John kind of reacts to Ivor does feel a little quick. You expect him to be a little shocked or a little horrified, but I think throughout the film, you actually do see John trying to bond with Ivor. You do see him trying to be his friend. And over the course of the film, we see how at first John thinks Ivor's a ton of laughs, good fun, but there are moments where Ivor's behaviour, his troublemaking behaviour, gets him into a lot of trouble, or basically does more harm than good. And I think the message of the film that it was going for is about how sometimes when you form a friendship, it's always best to stop and realise if the friend is really meant to help you, or if they're doing more harm than good. And I think for the most part, the animation isn't too bad. It does feel like one of those Raymond Briggs stories that's gonna come to life. And I kind of think, yeah, throughout the film, I do feel like some characters are just kind of thrown in with no real purpose, because I think when you do have John's sort of friend, I feel like she was just kind of thrown in to kind of be the sort of female sidekick, and there's nothing about her. She just kind of learns about Ivor and doesn't really seem to have any mixed feelings. And throughout it, it's just that typical kind of Raymond Briggs humour, kind of having Ivor doing more harm than good. We kind of see how, John stops to kind of realise if Ivor really is doing more harm than good, and seeing the harm of his childish behaviour. I think, I can see with 22 minutes that Raymond Briggs was probably trying to think about what to kind of do else with the story. But I also kind of think, it could have been a lot better, but it's still an okay film. It's kind of having a boy and an invisible giant kind of getting to know each other. We're gonna have it where the characters try to sort out the problems, and I think the ending, in my opinion, works. It's just kind of John realising that Ivor's just doing more harm than good, and knows deep down that things can't go on forever. And I think that's kind of sometimes with a friendship. You want things to work, it's just never gonna happen, and sometimes these things might happen for a reason. But I think the film definitely deserves thumbs in the middle. Well, it's an okay-ish idea. I just think Raymond Briggs was more fitted into books than doing something for a story for an animated film. And I think usually when there are animated adaptations of Raymond Briggs' work, there is a little bit of creative liberty and a bit more ideas put together on the sort of drawing board. So, comic reviewer here, signing out.